The suspect in a Burleson shooting and carjacking has been identified and is in custody.
And the defense begins its case in the third week of the Chauvin trial. We'll have an update.
Reporting live at the UNT Lyceum, I have details on tonight's student body address. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is NTTV Nightly News.
Thanks for joining us on NTTV Nightly News. I'm Hannah Minch.
And I'm Andrew Fancher. A suspect is in custody tonight charged with shooting a Burleson police officer and is also a suspect in a fatal carjacking. It happened around 4 a.m. this morning during a traffic stop near the Burleson High School. According to authorities, 39-year-old Jerry Don Elders is believed to be the driver, and he opened fire on the officer, hitting him multiple times. Police say 3 people were in the car. After the shooting, the suspect fled the scene. The shooter was then involved in a fatal carjacking near County Road 802. A woman was shot and later died from the injuries. Multiple law enforcement agencies were looking for Elders. Then, just after 2 p.m., investigators got a hit on a license plate reader for the missing Toyota Tacoma they believed he was driving. Gainesville police located the truck on Interstate 35, ran the vehicle off the road, and a foot chase ensued.
But they abandoned the vehicle, whether they wrecked or just left the vehicle, and fled into a wooded area. The subsequent search of that wooded area, we located, or the Gainesville Police Department located Jerry Don Elders. He is in custody at this time. There was a second subject with him. We don't know for sure who that is. They're continuing the search for that person. It could be one of the people that were in the vehicle as well.
Jerry Don Elders had 2 previous felony warrants, and he will now be processed in Johnson County. The bond for aggravated assault on an officer is set at $1 million.
The push to get Americans vaccinated against COVID-19 continues, in spite of the developments earlier this week with the Johnson & Johnson formula. The more people who are vaccinated, the closer we are to building national immunity. But which states are leading the way, and which ones are at the bottom of the vaccination list? Data from the National Center for Disease Control show the rate of vaccinations are beginning to break out along political party lines. The states that voted Democrat in 2020 tend to be the most vaccinated, while the states that voted Republican are the least vaccinated. The 5 most vaccinated states are Alaska, New Mexico, Maine, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. The bottom 5 include Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Utah, and Georgia. Now, where in the list is Texas? The Lone Star State is the 6th least vaccinated state. We have a ways to go. Here in Denton, however, we are ahead of the game. Last week, Denton County administered the 300,000th vaccine. This Saturday at the Texas Motor Speedway, county officials are hoping to make that number even higher. The goal is a massive 15,000 shots in one day. This is the first Saturday clinic at the Speedway, and Denton County spokeswoman Jennifer Rainey says they are ready.
Since the beginning of January, we've just extended our goals and made them bigger to match our allocations that we receive. So when we receive more vaccines, we want to get those into people's arms as quickly as possible, especially when our wait list is still growing. We're slowly reaching the end of our wait list, but every day, you know, there's 1,000 more people or 2,000 more people that are on it. So we just want to get to that end of that so that there's not a long wait. People don't have to wait weeks for a vaccine. They can get vaccinated within a few days of signing up.
And the same game plan is on tap for Garland. The health department will open a new drive-through vaccination center at its fire training facility this Saturday. First doses of the Moderna vaccine will be distributed. You don't need to register, but bringing a form will make the process easier. If you are due for a second dose, you will get a notification when the appointment is scheduled. For more information, contact the Garland Health Department at 972-205-3900.
Well, it's a cool and cloudy day today, but I wonder if we'll get some rain. What do you think, Hannah?
Well, with this Texas weather, you really never know. But our weather anchor, Donald Britton, will know. Let's see what he has to say. Donald?
Thanks, guys. Well, if you're hoping for some rain, you're in luck because we're definitely going to get a lot of that. Today has been a mostly cool day with a nice breeze in, and right now we're experiencing a temperature of 67 degrees with wind speeds of 9 miles per hour, making it feel more like 64. Now, later tonight, some rain will develop with a temperature of 54 degrees, but it's going to feel more like 48. Now, on that morning commute tomorrow, we can expect a dry temperature of 64 degrees, but don't let that fool you because we are going to get some afternoon showers. Now, that's all I have for you guys for right now. Stay tuned for the full weather later in the show. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Donald. The UNT semester is coming to an end, and the Student Government Association plans to address their efforts made this year. NTTV's Hannah Gonzalez is live in the Union with more. Hannah?
Well, Andrew, the State of the Student Body Address started at 6 p.m. here in the Union Lyceum. While this event is usually held in the fall semester, due to COVID-19, this annual assessment was pushed back to this spring. The Student Government Association President Michael Luke plans to discuss, quote, what our administration has done with regards to our campaign initiatives and efforts, as well as various programs and activities that our administration has hosted and or participated in. The SGA president will be accompanied by Tiffany Miller, the graduate student body president. While this event is held in person, attendance will be low due to the mandatory negative COVID-19 tests required. That's all I have here on tonight's student address. Sending it back to y'all in the studio.
Thanks, Hannah. Well, for two UNT college students, they have their own take on the accomplishments of their time on campus. NTTV's Cami Farrell has their unusual story.
Kathy Earhart starts her days by baking biscuits, scrambling eggs, and chatting with her daughter Emma. But depending on the time of day, Kathy responds to several different titles, including mom, small business owner, and UNT student. At 40, Kathy is graduating from UNT this May as a first-generation college student, alongside Emma, who is 17.
I did not graduate high school. I quit my senior year, and so going back to college, at 37 years old, it had been 20 years since I had been in school, was intimidating. It was hard. The technology was hard, learning that all the apps we use, learning to use a book online, not a print book when you're used to a print book, doing homework online. That was really challenging for me.
And these obstacles were amplified during the coronavirus pandemic. According to surveys at several universities, first-generation students are more likely to care for children, have a challenging study environment, and have concerns about money during the pandemic than their peers.
It's also been difficult going online because I do have kids, and so now I'm homeschooling 2 kids plus my school. And whereas when you go to campus, you have built-in time where you can learn at home. My child can walk in during a lecture at any given time or need me, and I have to respond to them.
But Kathy considers herself to be lucky. She has a strong community through her organizations and her daughter. Emma has attended all the same classes with her for the past 4 years.
It's like having a best friend in all of your classes. We get to study together and we get to help each other. We complement each other really well, I think.
A typical day of schoolwork usually consists of watching lectures in Emma's room on their laptops and, of course, with their lapdog. And this routine has just less than a month left. While graduation plans might be smaller and less traditional because of COVID, they are proud of their hard work.
What has been, I guess, your favorite memory together going on this journey together?
I think my favorite memory will be us graduating together, but, every day was a good day.
And Kathy isn't worried about a pandemic graduation because she says it won't be her last. Kathy and Emma plan to take their MCATs next year. In Denton, for NTTV News, I'm Cami Farrell.
This mother and daughter duo plans to keep studying together to one day become doctors.
Coming up, we'll have an update for you on the Chauvin trial.
And if you're looking to get out of the house, celebrate Earth Day outside at Denton's Earth Fest. Stay with us.
Imagine it's ice cream day at the office. And everyone from the day before voted for their favorite flavor. Everyone but you. You decided not to vote. The flavor they picked isn't the one that you wanted. But can you really complain? Shh! Now imagine that with an elected official.
Choose not to vote, choose not to be heard. Get registered today.
The trial of Derek Chauvin continues. The defense team of the former Minneapolis police officer accused of killing George Floyd is now presenting more information on Floyd's past medical conditions. CNN's Camelia Bernal is at the courtroom with the update.
Bottom line is he has an enlarged heart.
Maryland's former chief medical examiner testifying as an expert witness as the defense attempts to establish an alternative theory of George Floyd's death.
How did the heart and drugs contribute to the cause of death?
They were significant.
Dr. David Fowler telling the jury Floyd's drug use, prior health conditions, and potential exposure to carbon monoxide from the exhaust pipe of a police vehicle
Contributed to Mr. Floyd having a sudden cardiac arrest.
The prosecution disagrees, blaming Floyd's death on Derek Chauvin's actions.
The defendant's conduct was a causal factor in bringing about Mr. Floyd's death.
And on the second day of the defense's presentation, attorney Eric Nelson looking to bring a quick end to the trial.
For a judgment of acquittal in this particular case, the state has essentially introduced doubt in the context of providing multiple opinions from multiple experts, all of which seem to contradict each other.
Taken as a whole, the state believes that it's established and will establish beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of all charges.
I'm going to deny the defense motion for judgment of acquittal.
The defense is expected to rest its case as soon as the end of the week.
We will follow with any updates as the trial continues.
Well, Andrew, it sounds like we're going to start getting some of those April showers.
That's right, Hannah, and I hope it clears up in time for the weekend. I've really been enjoying this nice weather we've been having lately. Let's see what our weather anchor, Donald Britton, has to say. Donald?
Thanks, guys. Well, it's going to rain the next couple of days, so hold off on those plans and let's take a look at our temperatures across North Texas. 65 in Graham, 66 in Decatur, and 67 in Denton. So roughly the same temperatures across North Texas. Now let's take a look at our temperatures across the state. A little bit warmer in El Paso with a temperature of 81 degrees, cool in Amarillo with a temperature of 50 and 61 in Abilene. Now let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Later this evening and overnight tonight, we're going to see a push of rain and maybe even some thunderstorms into North Texas. There is a small risk for severe thunderstorms, and with that, there will be a potential for heavy winds and hail. Rain chances go up even more on Friday with more chances of thunderstorms possible. Maybe some showers early Saturday, but we really try to dry out the weekend, and next weekend is looking thoroughly dry as well. With showers in the forecast tomorrow, Justin, could this potentially mess up the in-person events for EarthFest?
Well, Donald, it is supposed to be raining, but luckily for us, most events are virtual. And with that, EarthFest is finally here, you guys. This event will celebrate International Earth Day, but due to COVID, this year we'll implement some educational virtual activities that will be available for you to tune into. Now, just to feature some of these activities, starting tomorrow from 11:30 to 1 p.m., EarthFest will be doing a giveaway. Now, I don't know about you, but giveaway to me equals free, so make sure you are there. Then from 3 to 5 p.m., they will be doing a live reusable bag tutorial by turning a t-shirt into a reusable shopping bag. If you would like to join both events, the Division of Student Affairs requires you to pre-register now at the website below. Now, for those students who are attending live in person, you would need proof of current COVID-19 test results that will, upon your arrival, and also your student ID that will allow you to attend. You would have had to be tested between April 8th and the 13th. Now, the one thing I'm excited about is the online zoo and events. Now, if you enjoy animals like I do, here is a list of some of those that will be available virtually. Now, rain or shine, come out and support these local businesses on their sustainable mission here in the UNT community. Clean, serene, and going green. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Jocelyn. A former president is using his art to honor immigrants. Our own Rochelle Senado is here to tell us more about it. Rochelle?
Thank you, Andrew. Former President George W. Bush wants to put a positive light on immigrants' contribution to the U.S., and a Dallas professor is right in the center of it. He sat down with us to tell us about his experience with the former president.
A Dallas professor portrait may change the immigration conversation. On April the 20th, the Bush Center in Dallas will open a new exhibit with a collection of 43 oil painting portraits of immigrants, painted by former President George W. Bush himself, including the portrait of a Dallas College professor.
He told me at that moment, you know, Carlos, I really would like to paint your portrait. You are from El Salvador. You have a very interesting life. I mean, you cannot even imagine a president painting your portrait.
The exhibit will promote Bush's new book, Out of Many One, in which the stories of these immigrants are featured to put a positive light on immigrants' contribution to the U.S.
One of the main ideas in his book is reshape the way people see immigrants.
Correct.
How do you think he's gonna do that?
It's changing the conversation, because the immigrant conversation is driven by fear. I think it's gonna impact the dialogue, because here you have a book that talk about a diverse group of individuals. Not everyone is the same. There are 35 nationalities. And one of the persons in the book is President Bush, housekeeper. And what the president says about her. So for the president to express that gratitude towards a second mother being a Mexican immigrant, that speaks loud how diverse we are and what we bring to this amazing country.
President Bush will also take a look back into his presidency in an interview with CBS Norah O'Donnell, coming out this Sunday. But for now, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Rochelle. And coming up, we'll tell you about another kind of success story. But instead of paintbrushes, it involves boxing gloves.
So, what are your plans for this weekend? How does a first date and pizza sound? I'll show you next.
Okay, that's perfect. But I had a great time talking to you today. I have one more question. Is wrestling really real?
What?
Well, if you're looking for love, you're in luck. Facebook to the rescue. Facebook is working on a new app for all the unlucky lovebirds out there. The social media company is testing a video speed dating app called Sparked. The test site describes the app as a faster way to meet your match. This app won't include public profiles or direct messaging. Some people are now getting their pizza delivered by a robot. That's right, the popular pizza chain Domino's is launching a robot car delivery service to select customers in Houston. Once the car arrives, the customers enter a code on the touchscreen and the car doors are opened up with a freshly baked pizza. The robot car also sends text messages to the customers to update them on its location.
Dollar General is one of the few large businesses that's thriving during this pandemic. They are planning to add 20,000 workers this spring. The discount retail chain is hiring full and part-time employees as well as drivers for its private trucking fleet. The last spring fleet will expand the company's workforce by 13%. It is also set to open more than 1,000 stores this year. Okay, I have a question for you. When does a boxing ring, a classroom, and a way to help teenagers all come together? Well, ask any Garland police officer and they'll have an answer. NTTV's Gilberto Obrechten has the story.
After completing their scholar duties, kids from all over the Metroplex meet daily at the Garland Police Boxing Gym, a gym that's unique in many ways.
Here in the gym, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 police officers. 4 of them are here daily trying to help the kids. They make it possible and fight for us to have enough to support the kids.
With daily efforts from their coaches, family members, and the police officers, this gym became the house of 2 national champions.
We have a kid here at the gym that just won nationals last year.
I had to fight 3 times. All were pretty hard, but at the end, I came out victorious. My coach has always told me whether I'm a world champ or not, he wants us to be good people in life and have a good future outside of boxing.
The girl has 4 years of fighting experience, but it's hard for girls in boxing. There isn't a lot of girls in boxing. We talked to her and she decided she was ready.
I've been here for about 4 years. Started training last year in September and it was like nervous. And then right when I got in the ring, my coaches always tell me when you're in the ring, it's war time.
Boxing is a sport that involves violence, and to avoid that from getting to the streets, the relationship between the youth and the police officers in the community is key.
Without our youth, without our community, us as police officers, our job is non-existent. The more that we understand each other, the easier this job and life is. So you're not alone. We care about you. Police officers, non-police officers, coaches, reach out and ask for help.
One thing is saying it, and another is living through it. As the main coach in the gym, Americo Santos fights hard so that his boxers don't go through what he went through.
I had drug addiction problems when I was younger, and I was involved in gangs, but thanks to God, boxing helped me overcome that, which resulted in my kids not ending in the streets.
Boxing is a sport that requires you to be in very good shape. Here in the Garland Boxing Police Gym, the coaches require its athletes to not only be honest, be responsible, but the most important one of all, to maintain a good relationship with police officers across the community. For NTTV News, Gilberto Obrechten.
Hey Andy, have you heard how lots of big things have been happening in the world of UNT sports lately?
I have, Hannah, and I know that our very own Armando Berry can tell us more about how that's going. Armando?
That's right, Andy and Hannah. The women's soccer team competed in round 1 of the CUSA tournament with a three-peat on the line, and more news around CUSA basketball coming up right after the break.
But I had a great time talking to you today. I have one more question.
All right, Armando, deep breath. Deep breath, buddy. What?
Winning one championship is hard enough. Winning a second time is even more difficult. So the Mean Green women's soccer team shouldn't hold their heads down that they couldn't become CUSA tournament champs for the 3rd straight year after their 1-0 loss in yesterday's round 1 match against Charlotte. Yesterday's loss was the first round 1 elimination from the CUSA tournament for the women's soccer team since 2010 and only the 2nd in the program's 26-year history. The Mean Green held Charlotte to just 1 shot by Haley Shan, but that didn't come to the 41st minute, but it ended up being the game-winning look the 49ers needed to advance. After the game, head coach John Hedlund said, "I'm extremely proud of those former teams and what they accomplished. It was a fun ride," end quote. The talent of players is often the most speculated matchup when teams go head-to-head, but what about having a coach on the sideline who can scheme up the winning game plan? Well, the UNT men's basketball team will have to consider that next year after it was announced last night that Abilene Christian head coach Joe Golding accepted the head coaching job at USA rival UTEP. With a turnaround coaching story similar to our own Coach McCaslin, Golding inherited a 9-win team when he started in 2011, reached his first 500 season in 2017, and is now coming off leading the Wildcats to their third 20-win season, a second Southland Conference championship, and a first-round NCAA tournament win over the Texas Longhorns. While the Miners men's basketball team is coming off a 12-12 season themselves, adding someone like Coach Golding can only make things brighter for El Paso, something to look out for everybody else. Staying on the topic of UNT men's basketball, another blood player of the Mean Green announced their post-grad decision as senior guard James Reese committed to play ball at the University of South Carolina this afternoon. The sharpshooting guard played at UNT for 2 seasons and was a large part of the nucleus that uplifted the Mean Green to last year's regular season USA championship and this past season's first ever NCAA tournament win over Purdue. On behalf of all Mean Green basketball fans, we wish Reese the best moving forward in his new journey. That's Lucas Sports for tonight. Hannah, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Armando. Well, we all know North Texas is a great place to live, and Denton has some unusual neighborhoods. In fact, not far from campus, one house built back in the 1900s became an internet sensation. Pearl Street in Denton is getting a bit more traffic than usual, and it's all because of house number 606. This home for sale has caught the attention of potential buyers and restored vintage home lovers alike.
So when I went and I saw, everything that they'd done, and knowing today's market, I thought, man, this is going to be a special listing. I wasn't expecting it to gain the notoriety that it did and to get the traction that it did.
The stylish home also gained quite a bit of online traffic as well. When a popular Facebook page shared this listing, it wasn't long before people from all over the country were interested.
The National for the Love of Old Houses Facebook page, and even then I was kind of like, well, that's kind of cool, but I wasn't expecting 3 million likes. I wasn't expecting that kind of thing.
The Denton home had 22 offers before it officially sold after just 3 days on the market.
It really is a special listing. When you walk into it, you kind of feel like you've been transported into just a different time.
Although the viral home is no longer for sale, the Denton gem is still garnering attention online. At least this way, it can be enjoyed by everyone. I'm Hannah Minch, NTTV.
Well, Hannah, was that listing just as impressive in person?
It really was. And you know what made it even better was the owners were so sweet too.
That does certainly help.
It definitely
Thanks for watching NTTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow night here at 6 p.m. on North Texas Television.